The desert night was quiet except for the sound of the fire crackling low, and in its glow sat the Apache warrior, Dakota, his eyes fixed on the bundle of cloth he had found near the dry riverbed earlier that day. The kind of bundle men leave behind when they believe there's nothing worth carrying anymore. But he had known from the weight of it, from the faint warmth, that it wasn't just cloth. It was life wrapped in silence. And when he opened it, he had found her, a woman barely conscious, her face pale as the sand, her lips cracked, her body trembling from exhaustion. She whispered something then, words that made no sense at first, her voice brittle as glass. "You buried her." "Not me." Dakota frowned, not understanding. But the fear in her eyes pierced him deeper than any enemy's blade. He pulled the cloth back further to tend to her wounds. And when the firelight revealed what lay beneath, his breath caught and his blood ran cold. Her back bore marks of burial dirt, her hands still stained as if she had clawed her way from the ground itself. And on her neck, deep bruises spoke of a rope that had once tightened to end her life. He had seen death many times, but this was something beyond, something between worlds. She shuddered and clung to him, insisting she was not the one they thought they had buried, that someone else lay in that shallow grave. Someone who looked like her, maybe a sister, maybe a stranger, she could not even tell. Her memory broken like shards of glass scattered in the wind. Dakota wrapped her tighter in the blanket, his mind torn between fear and duty, for among his people, death was sacred. But here was a woman who claimed to have walked out of the grave, a woman who whispered of betrayal, of mistaken identity, of horrors beneath the soil, and he knew that, whatever truth lay behind her words, it was not something he could turn away from. Not when her body trembled in his arms, not when her spirit clung so fiercely to life. So he vowed silently to protect her, to uncover the truth of who had been buried. And as the firelight flickered across her face, he wondered if the desert had given him not a burden, but a purpose. Days passed as Dakota led her carefully across the land, giving her water from his own share, letting her rest beneath the sparse shade of mesquite trees. And slowly she regained fragments of strength, though her eyes often darted toward the horizon as if she expected pursuers, or perhaps ghosts, to come for her one night when the stars were clear and countless above them. She spoke again of that night, her voice trembling as she remembered hands that bound her, men's voices full of cruelty, laughter as they dragged her toward the pit, the cold scrape of earth as it covered her, the suffocating silence, until suddenly there was nothing. And then she woke beneath the soil, clawing, gasping, finding strength she did not know she had. And when she emerged, there was no one around, only the endless desert. Dakota listened, his heart heavy with both sorrow and awe, for he could see in her eyes she was no ghost, no spirit, but flesh and blood, scarred by cruelty yet unbroken. But her words haunted him. "You buried her, not me." And he realized then that perhaps the ones who had meant to kill her had mistaken her identity, that somewhere beneath the earth lay another body, a sacrifice of revenge or rage. And the truth could not stay hidden forever. They reached a small canyon where Dakota often found water, and there he tended her wounds more carefully, pulling the cloth back once more. And as his eyes scanned the marks on her skin, he went pale, for carved faintly into her flesh near her shoulder was a symbol he recognized, the mark of a family long at war with his people, a family whose cruelty was known even among the tribes. And suddenly it all made sense. She had been mistaken for another, perhaps even betrayed by her own blood, and left to die for crimes not her own. She looked at him then, her eyes raw, asking if he believed her, if he saw her as cursed or as a living woman. And Dakota placed his hand over hers, steady and strong, telling her that survival itself was proof she was meant for more than a shallow grave, that the desert had not released her in vain. And in that moment, beneath the vast eternal sky, she wept, not out of weakness, but because someone finally believed her. Someone finally saw her as more than death returned. Friends, if this story gripped you, if you felt the weight of her survival and the strength it takes to rise from the grave, then make sure to subscribe to this channel, because stories like these, stories of betrayal, survival, and the fight for truth, are just the beginning. And by subscribing, you'll never miss the next tale that reminds us of the strength hidden even in the most broken souls.